Erin with Time Saving Templates, and today I'm going to be going over one of the templates we have as part of our base pay bundle, and that is the pay structure design template. And this template is set up to help you calculate your salary ranges, whether you have existing ranges to start with or if you are starting from scratch. You can find this template by going to timesavingtemplates.com. Click on the shop and then human resources. Okay, let me get the spreadsheet open. So I'm going to go through a few different examples here, and you'll see there's two different things we can do. There's define midpoints option 1 and define midpoints option 2. There's different tabs or pages at the bottom. With option 2, this is if you have you start at the bottom at this row 31, and this will work with up to 25 ranges, but you don't have to utilize all 25. You could have just 10 or go however many you need, but you would enter the lowest starting range at the bottom. So say I want my starting midpoint. We're not going to worry about the min and max just yet. And say I'm wanting all the lowest entry-level job in the company starting at 27,000. And then from there, we're going to calculate all the rest of the midpoints just by entering a midpoint differential. Now, if you're not familiar with what a midpoint differential is, I do have a compensation metrics cheat sheet, which is free, and you can download it. It's going to be at timesavingtemplates.com/free resources, and you'll see a HR compensation section. So it'll look like this: comp metrics for the HR professional, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like. We have it's 3 pages with different guidelines and that sort of thing, but it'll define midpoint and also typical midpoint differentials. The general trend is that the lower level positions have a smaller midpoint differential, and as you progress in the company, the higher level positions have a wider or higher midpoint differential. So this midpoint differential, there's a little bit of art and a little bit of science in compensation. Say I just did 10% and I just pull this 10% all the way up to, that'll give me, say I want 20 different salary ranges and I set them all at 10%. This is the midpoint that it would calculate if everything was at 10%. Maybe I just wanted 10 ranges and I wanted progressing midpoint differential. Maybe I wanted to get it closer to 15 to 20% for the higher levels. Then you would come in and adjust. So maybe starting in this grade, I would do 12% for a few, and then 20% for the next few. And then I don't need these other ranges towards the top. I only need the top range to go to that 200. So that'll give me 16 different midpoints. Okay, so this is just a fast way to calculate ranges. Again, if you want to base this on market data, you need to match your jobs to salary survey data. So this is just like a quick and easy way to do it, but you do want to verify everything with market data, and that's what will help you know that you have jobs in the right grade. From here, I've calculated the midpoint and I have midpoint differential for 16 grades. Now I would copy this midpoint and define mid-max. I would paste values, my midpoint, into the next page. So I'm going to do paste special values and paste that midpoint in. After I paste the midpoint differential into this define min-max, you'll see that some of these formulas have already updated. The midpoint differential is still there. The min and max are all the same as the midpoint. If you notice, there's a formula there. I need to now enter the range spread. So the range spread is how narrow or wide do you want the range to be. Every company is different, so you do not have to follow these typical guidelines, but generally you could have really large range spreads or really narrow, depending on the position. I'm going to go ahead and just do 30%. Let's see. And this one is also similar thing where the higher range spreads are towards the top. And that's just because we're wanting to entry-level positions, you're wanting to promote quickly. When you get to the higher level positions, they're not necessarily tons of positions to promote someone, and the experience could vary widely. So you might want to have a higher range spread in order to account for that. Maybe the top two, we put at 50%. Now, after we enter that in, then you'll see it calculates the min and the max. So we have some ranges here. So this template does come with another way to calculate your ranges, and I'm going to go over that in the next video. So stay tuned for that, but it's basically going to be for situations where you have the minimum and the max, and then you're needing it to calculate your midpoint, or maybe you already have ranges and you want to find out what your midpoint and range spreads are. Maybe you want to convert them to hourly rates. So I'll be going over some examples of using that option 1 in the next video. But just know that once you do come up with your ranges, either by using option 1 or option 2 or another way, there's also additional pages to help you get your rounded out numbers. As you'll see with the formulas, we have a really long number here. So I made some updates recently where you can just paste in your ranges in the green, and then to the right, you would select which way you want to round it, to the thousands or to the 10,000s. I wouldn't really do 100,000. That'll just set everybody at the same, unless you're in a different currency. So if you're US dollar, I'd probably use one of these. But if you're in another currency, then you may be able to use this rounding for those. And so after you get everything entered, it also comes with a graph showing your visual of the final ranges, and we do have the option to round your hourly ranges as well. So that will be a few different options for rounding to the decimal or using no decimals. Stay tuned for the next video where I'm going to go over an example of combining probably about 15 to 20 different grades down into about 8 grades. That can be done with option 1. So I'm going to go over that next. And also, to get this template that we've been going over, it's part of a base pay bundle. So I'll link to that. But you can also find this template by going to timesavingtemplates.com and just go to the shop in the human resources section, and you'll see all the HR templates there. And we also have the free compensation metrics cheat sheet that I went over earlier. So that will explain in more detail the midpoint differentials, the range spreads, and several other compensation metrics, and give you like typical percentages and what they mean and everything. So you can find that also at timesavingtemplates.com/free resources. So until next time, don't forget that I'm here to help you streamline and save time when it comes to using your spreadsheets.